Thank you. Thank you, Sonia, for such a kind introduction. And congratulations to my fellow honorees, Tarana, Terry, and Paul, who've accomplished so much. I mean, such is the global reach of the Me Too movement and Brooklyn Nine-Nine that my three children now think I'm incredibly cool to be honored alongside the two of you. It's not easy to explain domestic violence and child abuse to an 8-year-old. To explain why people hurt each other sometimes, why sometimes someone who looks like him had to move and live somewhere unfamiliar that no one's allowed to know about. Taking my children to a Safe Horizon shelter a couple of years ago changed me and changed them, and offered me a perspective on life I didn't think I'd ever have. I first got to know Safe Horizon back in 2015 when they were the beneficiary of our New York office charity auction. And I was inspired by the cause, and I had read about the organization. But that evening was the first time I met a survivor of violence and abuse and heard her story firsthand. It really hit home to me then that Safe Horizon does much more than provide assistance to victims. She told me that Safe Horizon helped empower her, helped her made her feel valued again as a person. The courage she showed to stand up, to relive the experience and share her story with everyone there, ensured that something good came out of something that was so destructive. And that, to me, is what Safe Horizon is all about. Soon after that, I met Ariel Zwang, the CEO of Safe Horizon, and could tell immediately this was an organization really committed to justice, but much more to that, to hope. And particularly when she showed me around one of the child advocacy centers. As Sonia mentioned, it's over 20 years now since Safe Horizon opened the first co-located child advocacy center in the US. A pioneering model at a time that has now become the gold standard for child abuse response and treatment across the country. Safe Horizon now has 5 of them, one in each borough in New York City, that help more than 12,000 children and their families every year. And it's each year we're able to help more and more of those children and families because of supporters like everyone in the room tonight. Unfortunately, not every child is able to get the justice. And you saw from the video that Safe Horizon is advocating for the passage of the Child Victims Act to ensure that everyone who's a victim of abuse as a child can come forward, say, "Me too," and seek justice. I joined the board of Safe Horizon a couple years ago. As a middle-aged white man with a relatively privileged upbringing and no first-hand experience of domestic violence or abuse to bring to bear, I instead look to use my own experience to enroll others, to challenge, to encourage, to raise awareness. I was delighted last year to be able to arrange a visit from a member of the royal family to one of our shelters. Watching the princess listen to stories of survivors and their children and paint her nail purple in support of the Put the Nail campaign in it was an incredible moment. Shining a light on what Safe Horizon does and raising awareness of this cause so that fewer victims have to suffer without somewhere to go. And that's what I try to do. I am honored and humbled to accept this award on behalf of my 5,000 colleagues at Oliver Wyman and another 60,000 at Marsh & McLennan Companies who work tirelessly every day to make a difference. At Oliver Wyman, we're committed to inclusion and diversity, first and foremost because it's the right thing to do, but also because we value our people, and we believe our colleagues do their best work when they feel cared for and supported by the organization in which they work. This is why it's so important to support organizations like Safe Horizon, who help people get back into the workplace when abuse or lack of confidence because of abuse has prevented them. 3 years as the head of the Oliver Wyman Inclusion Council has taught me a lot about what people need to be successful. I remember my first reverse mentoring session where I learned how hard it was for LGBTQ colleagues to hide their identity, the negative impact it had on their work. I also remember learning about the effects of unconscious bias and the microaggressions on the experience of women and people of color and how it can influence their enthusiasm and engagement at work. I can't imagine what it must be like for victims of domestic violence to suffer mental, emotional, physical abuse and then come to work and pretend as if nothing's wrong. As a human, I don't want to lose anyone to domestic violence. But as a business, I believe we can also do a lot more to support the efforts to eradicate domestic violence everywhere. Society can't afford to lose talent to domestic violence. Even one loss is just one too many. I'm incredibly proud to be associated with Safe Horizon. The devotion of the staff, the powerful sense of the mission and purpose that drives everyone to come to work and make the world a better place. One afternoon with my children at a shelter, talking to families, hearing their stories of hardship, but also their stories of hope, has educated my own family far more than any amount of lessons they could have in the classrooms. All of you here are involved in Safe Horizon in some way or other, and I hope this will inspire you to get more involved. Thank you.